Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're unpacking the cognitive frameworks and high-income skills that separate self-made billionaires from the rest of the pack. Let's jump right in. We all see the flashy wealth and the incredible success stories, right? But what we almost never see is the hidden architecture of their minds. Most people kind of assume becoming a billionaire is just, sheer luck or maybe inherited privilege. But honestly, it really comes down to a very specific set of mental models and execution strategies.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll be moving through 6 key areas: the psychology of wealth, escaping the survivorship trap, models for better decisions, reframing risk and failure, systems over singular goals, and finally, building high-income skills. Let's get right into it.
Up first, Section 1, the psychology of wealth, mindset over math. Look, to really kick things off, we have to recognize a fundamental truth. Wealth is driven far, far more by behavior, emotion, and context than by just punching simple numbers into a spreadsheet. You could literally have the highest IQ in the room, but if you don't understand how your own brain reacts to fear and greed, none of that math is going to save you.
There's this beautifully structured book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and it hits the nail on the head here. It makes it crystal clear that the psychology behind an investor's actions is the real, ultimate key to financial success. He points out something super interesting. Unlike fields like physics or medicine, finance is heavily qualitative. It's all about how you behave when the market suddenly crashes, or how you manage your own ego when you finally start making real money.
Which brings us to this amazing quote. Napoleon basically said that a genius is the person who can do the average thing when everyone around him is losing his mind. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. Consistency and emotional control during those inevitable lows are what truly matter. When everyone else is completely panicking, selling off their assets, or chasing some wild new trend, the true financial genius is just quietly sticking to their reliable average system.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, understanding the true definition of wealth allows you to define your own goals instead of constantly chasing a moving target. Perceived wealth is just the flashy car or the giant house you buy to show off, right? But true wealth, the highest form of wealth, is actually freedom. It's waking up every single morning and saying, I can do whatever I want today. It's pure autonomy. And when you realize that, it completely changes how you build your life.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, escaping the survivorship trap, what we don't see.
Have you ever noticed how we constantly try to copy exactly what successful people do? Let me tell you a quick story about why that's super dangerous. During World War II, the military had a major problem. They wanted to put extra armor on their bomber planes. So they looked at the planes returning from battle, saw they were covered in bullet holes on the wings and tail, and thought, obvious, let's put armor where the bullet holes are. But then this brilliant statistician named Abraham Wald came along. He realized the real data was actually hidden in the planes that never made it back. See, the returning planes took hits to the wings and survived. The ones that took hits to the engine, those went down. You had to armor the engine, the exact place where you didn't see any damage.
Now, why does that matter for us? Well, if we only learn from the visible anomalies, like the famous college dropouts who become tech billionaires, we completely ignore base rates and realities. It's like looking at the tip of an iceberg. You see the one guy who risked his entire life savings on a wild idea and won. But what you don't see is the invisible graveyard of 10,000 other people who tried the exact same thing and went completely bankrupt. You just can't blindly copy the survivors. You have to understand the fundamental principles beneath what they did.
All right, Section 3, models for better decisions, the outliers toolkit. So if copying visible successes is a trap, how do we actually make smart choices?
Well, self-made billionaires consistently rely on mental models, starting with the circle of competence. This was championed by Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and it's basically all about self-awareness. You absolutely have to know the edge of your own competency. It's about playing in areas where you are wise rather than blindly taking chances in the dark. Listen, it is completely fine to not understand a new industry or some complex tech, but it is deeply dangerous to pretend that you do. The smartest minds aggressively identify what they actually know, and they ruthlessly stay within those bounds, simply outsourcing or passing on the rest.
Buffett actually has this great quote comparing investing to baseball. He says the trick is just sitting there watching pitch after pitch and ignoring the crowd yelling at you to swing. It's exactly like baseball legend Ted Williams, who famously analyzed his strike zone by breaking it into 77 imaginary segments. Williams knew that if he swung at a pitch low and away, his batting average would totally tank, so he just watched those pitches sail right past. In business, you don't have to swing at every single opportunity. You just wait for the one that sits right in the dead center of your expertise.
Then there's the regret minimization framework. This is the exact four-step framework Jeff Bezos used when he was trying to decide if he should leave his safe, lucrative Wall Street job to start Amazon. And it proves that inaction actually haunts us way more than failure. When you're facing a terrifying leap, your brain naturally focuses on the immediate fear. But Bezos said, project yourself forward to age 80. If you imagine yourself sitting on your porch looking back at your life, you realize you aren't going to regret trying and failing. You will absolutely regret never having tried at all.
Another absolutely crucial model is first principles thinking versus reasoning by analogy. Take Elon Musk wanting to go to Mars. Average thinking relies on analogy. Well, rockets cost $65 million because that's what they've always cost. But Musk totally rejected that. He used first principles, which means stripping away all the assumptions to find absolute facts. He asked, what are the actual raw materials of a rocket? Aerospace-grade aluminum, titanium, copper, carbon fiber. Okay, what do those cost on the commodity market? And it turns out practically nothing compared to the finished product. So he just decided to build them himself.
Let's jump into Section 4, Reframing Risk and Failure, the Real Stepping Stones. We really need to talk about the scariest part of any journey, because the ultra-successful completely flip conventional wisdom on its head here.
Get this, 70%. That is a staggering number. 70% of the Forbes 400 billionaires are completely self-made. This proves that massive success is rooted in a highly calculated mindset, not just inherited safety nets. Most of these folks didn't start with massive trust funds to catch them when they fell. They had to learn how to fall smartly, repeatedly, until they figured out how to stay on their feet.
And contrary to popular belief, billionaires actually hate reckless risk. They don't just roll the dice. Instead, they actively seek out asymmetric risk. A great example is Richard Branson's deal with Boeing when starting Virgin Atlantic. He didn't bet his entire music empire on a risky new airline. He structured the deal so he could return the planes after just 1 year if the airline failed. His downside was strictly capped at 1 year of leasing costs, but his upside, a multi-billion-dollar global airline. They look for situations where they might lose a little, but could potentially win a staggering amount.
And when they do fail, they embrace it. Look at these epic failures. Bill Gates had a traffic data company that completely flopped. Walt Disney actually went bankrupt early on with his Laugh-O-Gram studio. Sarah Blakely's dad used to ask her at the dinner table what she failed at that week, explicitly teaching her to celebrate the attempt regardless of the outcome. Oprah bounced back from a massive box office bomb with the movie Beloved. Failure isn't the opposite of success, guys. It's a vital, repetitive stepping stone. It's just data.
Okay, Section 5, Systems over Singular Goals, the daily grind. Now that we've reframed how we view failure, we really need to focus on day-to-day execution.
We all love setting massive goals, but here's the reality check. Goals alone don't actually get you anywhere. Everyone wants to win the gold medal, right? The desire isn't what separates the winner from the loser. A goal is a singular, future outcome that you cannot fully control. But a system is the daily process you execute right now. If your goal is to make $1 million, your system is making 50 sales calls a day. Wealthy people fall in love with that boring, repetitive system because they have 100% control over it.
And part of mastering that system is killing your perfectionism. Perfectionism is really just fear in a tuxedo. You gotta remember, done is better than perfect. Smart people are often terrified of looking foolish, so they plan endlessly. But holding on to a losing project due to sunk costs or waiting until an idea is absolutely flawless before launching just guarantees you stay stuck. You literally cannot refine a product that doesn't exist. So, cut bad ideas loose quickly, launch messy, and iterate from there.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, Building High-Income Skills, the Execution Engine. We have to align these upgraded mental models with the practical tools the market is actually demanding right now. Because a brilliant mindset without execution is honestly just philosophy. So here are the top 5 high-income skills right now. AI integration, data analytics, digital marketing, persuasive storytelling, and cybersecurity. By mastering just one of these highly scalable skills, you create massive, rapid leverage. Think about it. AI can automate operations, digital marketing scales your visibility to millions practically overnight, and persuasive storytelling remains the oldest, most powerful trick in the book to close deals, because human beings will always buy based on emotion.
Let's look at just one specific example, $4.9 million. That staggering number is the average global cost of a data breach. When you see a number like that, it proves exactly why a skill like cybersecurity is incredibly lucrative to possess, or frankly, to outsource. Companies are absolutely terrified of losing their reputations and going bankrupt from a single hack. There's a massive global shortage of people who can protect this digital goldmine. So if you can step in and solve a multi-million-dollar problem like that, you are absolutely going to command a premium income.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question. Which framework or high-income skill will you master first to begin your own transformation? Remember, raw intelligence without execution is totally useless. I challenge you to take action on just one of these principles today. Don't let this be just another interesting thing you consumed and then forgot about. Pick one mental model for a decision you're facing right now, or commit to learning one high-income skill this week. The blueprint is right here in front of you. Now, what are you going to build?